Hey there, cats and kitties. I am the Blues Man, Johnny Blues, and with this video, we'll be discussing my thoughts on episode 9 of the anime series, Aria the Scarlet AA, and we're finally getting back to the meat of the plot with Akari and Aria, and people being after them, calling back to, I like that there's a lot more of a sense of continuity once again, referring back to season 1. I mean, we're talking about the Butte Stalker once again, which, if you've seen the first season, you already know how that plays out. But it seems to coincide with Riko working in tandem with this brunette character who, even Akari's own sister seems to be having nightmares about. Now, does this spell out that they've actually met in the past? The destruction that really affected the early lives of Akari and her sister, it looked like their hometown or whatever it was, at least their homestead had burned down and they were running for their lives. Is this just a product of this nightmare, of a dream, or were these experiences that they actually had in the past? It remains to be seen. Whatever the case may be, even Aria herself suspects that the parents aren't around anymore, and she confirms this in this episode, and we're still wondering, what is exactly in the past for Akari and her sister? What exactly did they experience? And it seems like this character, Kyo, we finally get the name of this brunette, chick in this episode. She's pointedly going after Akari, whereas Riko's going after Aria, as she did in season 1, and it's very interesting how they end up kind of setting things up. I mean, we start this episode, it's a bit light, the same kind of fare we've had over the last few episodes, and I like that they didn't go overboard with it, but I thought it was hilarious that all the girls are ending up, spending the night at Akari's place. It's supposed to be Aria herself, but then everybody ends up showing up and they have like, a sleepover and everything. And just, all of a sudden in the middle of the episode, a bare ass shot, just sort of like close up on buns, I'm not going to complain, but I mean, it's just like out of nowhere. First we zoom in on a plate of food and then boom, there's a soapy, sudded butt for no reason. Everybody's bathing. And, but once we actually get to the meat of this, somebody is after Aria, and of course we know that it's a puppet master situation going on. These girls are being manipulated, and the impetus behind it is still in question as far as why would Riko and Kyo want to be doing this. It does seem to me like there's much more of a history between Kyo and Akari, as opposed to Riko and Aria in season 1, of bad blood, of this wanting to just take her down for whatever reason. And, that could have something to do with these abilities that Akari seems to have, and we really haven't talked much about them ever since she showed off this electricity sort of power. I really hope we can get more, investigative into that and look into that and see what exactly that all amounts to. I've been, borderline suspecting maybe this destruction in their past was something, inadvertent that Akari is responsible for. Maybe she had this burgeoning power, kind of like a mutant out of the X-Men, as a young child or a teenager. She didn't know how to control it, and maybe it was inadvertently she who caused the destruction, and maybe that's why this Kyo chick is after her. Maybe they were like neighbor girls or something like that, and this Kyo girl suffered a loss of her own family or something along those lines, and that's why she wants to get sort of revenge. It's just, a line of speculation based on the information we have, but I'm hoping that we're going to get that much more in depth with this, because for me, the turning point of this episode, as these guys are going after Aria and all the girls come together, I mean, you see the closeness that sort of has been born between all of them. I mean, with all the craziness and wackiness and yandere stuff that's been going on in the last few episodes, and just, all out uncomfortableness and everything, these girls are kind of becoming that much closer and that much more of a unit, a functional unit working together. They all come to Aria's rescue, they're chasing down these bad guys who are chasing Aria down. They corner them, they take them on and all this kind of stuff, working together. And here we really see Akari put to the test, finally. And I thought it was interesting that part of the dialogue, in preface to this, is she's basically saying the reason she idolizes Aria so much is because she doesn't take lives. And I was wondering how this was going to play in to this threat, I thought to myself, well, they wouldn't be saying that. She wouldn't be saying that if there wasn't something tantamount to exploring that part of the narrative. And of course, that's exactly what we get. Akari cannot bring herself to fire a gun. She doesn't want to. She is heavily reluctant to. It seems like there is some sort of trauma in her past that may relate. Maybe she has a sort of, deep down responsibility, whether consciously or unconsciously, for that destruction, if that line of thinking is correct, that, she inadvertently caused the destruction of their homestead in the past or whatever like that. But she doesn't want to take lives. She doesn't want to cause harm and inflict harm. And it's absolutely compelling that she's pushed to the point where she kind of needs to, and she can even visualize it. And it's like, wow, something's going on upstairs with this girl that is absolutely compelling. And it gets that much further when Aria drops the bomb. Forget it. You can keep your gun. We're done with this Amika, test. You really can't be my Amika. You have this just high echelon, want to be like me. Why do you want to be like me? Why do you want to idolize me? And Akari's talking about, it's that you don't kill. It's that, just you are the most awesome Butte there ever is. You're perfect. And there's, multiple layers of commentary going on. And in a series like this, the last few episodes, you never would have expected. Where they're really looking in depth of being your own person, being an individual, not trying to emulate someone else and be like someone else. Be true to yourself. Be true to your capabilities. Know your limitations. All those really, just to the core life aesthetics. If you want to live peaceably, if you want to live happily, you need to get your brain attuned to. And Akari, she's a young girl. So, of course, she's not really going through that aspect of it. There's not an evolution of her mind as yet. She really just wants this. She's focused on it. But there's even that scene, calling back on earlier scenes in the series where, she and Shino and Raika are sitting on the bench under the tree once again, talking about the goals she set for herself. And there's a split second of that dialogue where she pauses before confirming, yes, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to try my best to do this. Where you can perceive a level of doubt. Like she doesn't see this coming true. She's hoping, but she doesn't see it coming true. And this is before Aria lays that bomb. No, forget it. The deal is off. You couldn't even shoot the guy. You couldn't even fire a warning shot. You couldn't bring yourself to fire the gun. Aria grabs her by the arm, forces her into this building, like the training, the gun training area, and gets her to fire the gun. She doesn't even look. She's not even facing the mannequin target. And it's like she fires whatever it is, however many times, say 6 times for argument's sake. Every shot of those 6 shots is lethal. Head shot, eye shot, neck shot, chest, without even looking. She knows she's capable of utmost death and destruction, and she doesn't want that. She wants to mold whatever skills she has into being a Butte that doesn't need to rely on just all-out killing. And it's like absolutely penultimately compelling. Because here is a series where if we're to understand what they want to make people into, becoming a Butte, that's exactly what she needs to be. She needs to be able to be lethal, in conducting the preservation of her own life in the field. And the lives of her teammates and her friends. But she's so traumatized by it. She runs out screaming. And as the episode ends, as I say, we find that this is the puppet master manipulation of Riko and Kyo, both respectively looking at Aria and Akari, wanting to take them down for their own machinations, their own malevolent devices. And it's like, whoa. Finally, back to the meat and potatoes of this series. And I was just flabbergasted by it, enjoyed the hell out of it. I can't wait to get to the next episode to get more in depth with this exploration of Akari's past, of what it is that is affecting her. Whether it is, true to my speculation, that she is the cause of the destruction in her own childhood. And, how it's affecting her sister. Her sister's been really weak and frail and dizzy and almost to the point of passing out. and she's having these nightmares, so she's very much personally affected by all of this. And I mean, one part of my brain even started to suspect like a, Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing, where maybe Kyo is actually the sister after like being transformed, like that's that part of her brain getting attuned to her other sort of persona whenever she's getting weak and frail, and then when we don't see her around and everything, she transforms, and she goes and has her little malevolent meetings with Riko and everything like that, probably way off. But I mean, considering the supernatural elements that took place, that flavor in season 1, it's still a possibility. I'm not going to really bank on it, but it's still a possibility. It's within the realm of possibility in the way, the universe in this series is set up. But yeah, I mean, it was just really penultimately exciting to finally get back to this and to finally be digging into that whole history. And to see the heartbreak for Akari, just, that's it. Aria has kind of sold her out. She's moving on. Amidst the dangers going on with the Butte hunter, the Butte killer, whatever it is, that was, the season 1 storyline. Aria's got enough on her plate, coinciding with this, because this is all unfolding right alongside that timeline. So, I mean, it's just going to be really interesting to see what happens next. And, the preview for the next episode, the PV, whoa. It looks like things, Akari's world is about to get rocked to the foundations, and bring it on. I'd love to hear from you guys in the comments below what you thought of episode 9 of Aria the Scarlet AA. If you saw it, if you enjoyed it as much as I did, if you love that we're getting back to the crux of this story and really delving into that whole thing, the dynamics between these characters, most specifically Akari and Aria respectively, and, of course, Kyo and Riko in the background being the manipulators. I gotta say, man, once again, Reki coming into this episode, favorite character from season 1, and I love that. You could almost frame that as a portrait, that shot where she gets off, the rifle shot at the one thuggy that Akari couldn't fire the gun at. And before anyone says her name, and you see the subtitle, like, she's just completely pitched with, like, the sunset glow around her and everything, and she's got that weapon and just looking all kinds of badass. I mean, that could be an art piece up on the wall. I love that. But yeah, as I say, I'm going to be interested to see where this goes. Love to hear from you guys. If you have any speculations to put forth of your own, let me know in the comments below what you thought of it all. And yeah, otherwise it'll be pretty much it for me on this. Hope this video finds you well, and I'll catch you all later. Peace.